episode of That Surprised Us
Yay!
Now. Another episode of Cocktails and Curtain Calls. I'm Matt Austin.
And I am Beth Young. And for the next half an hour, we have the good fortune of speaking to our guests from TheatreWorks New Milford, whose production of Race opens the 22nd, February 22nd, and we have Kevin Knight and Arnold Daly.
Right.
It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
This is really nice.
Well, thank you.
Even though I wasn't here last time you were here.
Yes, you got that tire fixed, right?
Yeah, he's here. He made it this time.
Boy.
Yeah.
I did. Well, thank you for being both.
Sure.
Thank you so much for coming. Yeah. So I think what would be great is if first this is not one of Mamet's most familiar plays, like Glengarry Glen Ross or something. So the play by David Mamet. Maybe give us a little bit of a sketch of what this is about. A little.
Sure. The basic plot line of it is a wealthy white man is being.
Don't give it away.
Oh man, one line.
All right, that's it. Wealthy white man. That's all you need to know. Well, he's being accused of raping a young black woman.
Okay.
And within the midst of that accusation, he is shopping out for attorneys to represent him in that case. He goes to a very young law firm that's operated by a black and a white partner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the black partner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
You might not have
I was
been aware
wondering,
of that.
but okay, I'm glad you straightened
I'm
it
the
out.
white partner.
Good. So you play
the basic
Are you
plot.
his lawyer? Then you become his lawyer in this. They both lawyers.
That's part of,
Okay.
and that's
Oh,
part
okay,
of the
yeah.
story.
Oh, okay.
It really, in some ways, I describe it as a courtroom drama, but it's not in court.
Right.
Okay.
So that it has that feel.
Right. Of that kind of tension and pressure and.
So there's really quite a bit to digest in this play. You know, we're dealing with the topic of race.
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with the topic of gender.
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with the topic of sexual proclivities and appetites.
Social economic
dimension of it,
Yeah.
as well
It's
as
comedy.
perhaps age.
I get it.
It's a comedy. You'll leave there just laughing your head off.
Yeah, just happy you're not involved with these people.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are lighter moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like all Ram. I mean, he's got the rhythms, man. He's got the rhythm, and boom, to boom, to boom, ha 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 ha.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what drew you to this play? What drew you to audition for this play?
Well, I got a phone call.
That's a hook right there. Yeah.
Audition, and I read the play, and so I've said to myself, I'm not doing anything unless it's serious.
Okay.
And serious meaning that I want people, when they leave the theater, that they're thinking, that they've been changed, they've been impacted. They walk out of there kind of wondering about their own life and how, we live in a kind of a crazy world at times.
Right.
And that's what I want. And so when I read this, I said, wow, this is really meaty.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This has things that I can chew on, that I think about, and other people can think about. The challenge is that when you do start reading it and you realize how Mamet writes that, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? But that's okay. But that's what drew me.
Just back up there. So you say that it's what have I gotten myself into? What, like, is there something in particular about that makes you think that? Because
Mamet's style is he's very particular about every word that you're using. Mm-hmm. You can't ad-lib. Yeah. If you ad-lib, you're sunk. And that's the challenge. And because everyone goes through and you say, okay, this word can replace that word, but you can't with him. And then even within the script, he italicizes certain words. So that word has to be emphasized. And if you don't emphasize it, it changes the meaning of the line.
Right.
And so that type of detail. But the other level is, it's an emotional journey.
Right.
It's an emotional journey for me up there. And so that emotional journey, we're rehearsing and you're going through it, and that emotional journey is every night sometimes. And you're not acting, you're in that. And so you get there and and you're like, wow, that was really, I feel my chest kind of pounding.
Right,
And
right.
so that's the deal.
It's a draining
That's, yeah,
kind
it's
of-
draining.
yeah,
But
yeah.
luckily I get to drive home an hour and 15 minutes in the car, and it drains
Decompress.
away.
You can decompress with that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow, it's great.
Oh, I can't wait to get back in the car and do that. Yeah,
I
yeah,
have a
yeah.
half an hour, and I get home and get to that wine.
yeah, exactly.
So what drew you to want to direct this play specifically? Well, there's a longer story. But
Well, there is a longer story, and it's actually quite interesting, you know, in that sense. Look, I started out, frankly, and I was proposing to do American Buffalo.
Yeah.
David Mamet's American Buffalo. Equally as powerful, equally as riveting and dynamic on a whole different level, and it's one of his better known plays. The rights were not available.
Right.
So, okay, we're looking around, what can fill its place, and looking for certain criteria, but it led me back into Mamet to this play. Race was there. I frankly had not heard of it until I read it, and it was. I mean, it's very captivating. It's literally, you know, once I had read it, you know, it was that feeling you get in your stomach that makes you excited about doing something of this magnitude.
So and this is such an interesting point you make about David Mamet's writing and the selection of the words, because they gather momentum in the way that he constructs it, right? And that's really meant to take you on that ride.
Right. Yeah.
But when you're directing, how do you have to direct that? I mean, do you have to point that out?
that's a great.
At times they do. More so, it's a discovery, a journey of discovery with myself and the actors. So we're cruising along, and I give certain amount of time for them to get used to the words, to used to the lines, because the play requires absolute mastery over the script.
Right.
So that you can play with it. Now, as he alluded to, for the stresses, Mamet's also a master of punctuation usage. I mean, it's like you've never seen. You know, how in terms of it. Once you get used to it and get into that rhythm, it's almost like Shakespeare. When you're really into Shakespeare, the words start dictating the blocking.
Right. Right.
Okay, it leads you.
It's almost
that way.
choreographed.
Right. So the other key to the Mamet, that I'm finding working with the Mamet, is making absolute use of all the pauses.
Okay.
Okay, for filling, to learning how to use them by filling in and getting an actor from point A to point B.
Right.
But I'll add to that, though. I think that director is very necessary in this, because there's no stage instructions in the script.
Right.
A lot of times you read scripts and go here, go there, move this, and
right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. All of a sudden you're answering the phone. Phone's got to ring.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Right.
that's the type. And so where we are on stage and the movement, the director has to have a vision
right.
for this.
For that.
Right. Obviously the actors are contributing, and we'll go out there and I'll say I'm going to move in this direction, and it either works or doesn't work.
Right.
But the director really has to have a vision for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very different.
It's very liberating for a director, though, not to have those. I would think not to have those.
Well,
no.
It is. I mean, but it's it's a Mamet piece, so you're working in a confined space.
Right.
It's not a big rambling set. It doesn't move. It doesn't change. It's boom. Here you are.
Right.
3 walls and a door.
Thinking of all the other Mamet pieces I've seen, Speed the Plow and American Buffalo
Glengarry.
and Glengarry, all very tightly woven.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's his.
And it's human interaction in small spaces.
Right.
Over tense situations.
Right. Right. So it was a lucky find.
Yeah.
Yeah, for something you had never seen.
Yeah.
Was it on Broadway? Was this?
It was on Broadway, and was a great cast.
Yeah.
It was directed by Mamet himself. It was James Spader, Kerry Washington,
Richard Thomas,
and Dave.
I don't remember.
Yes, you
my
did.
character.
Yeah. What was his name?
Yeah, sure.
It's a great.
Was he in something else?
The time.
Yes, but think this through. Starts
No, he
with
was great.
yeah.
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 So if you had a lot of money, we would have an edit right here.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
So
we have
yeah,
no money.
We have
so
no
this
money.
is
We have no
just-
post.
no
Everybody
post,
bolts
no
when this is
money.
over. That's it. They
No,
just
no.
throw it out
The
there.
viewer
So-
has, viewers, they have Google. They can
Yeah,
find
they
it,
can,
right?
they can figure that out.
Yeah.
And you know
Pop it
what?
into Google.
Email it to us because nobody ever has emailed us.
And actually,
anything.
so yeah,
So
come
they-
see this production.
That's
It
right.
doesn't matter.
That's
the
it.
production
You're right.
doesn't
You're
matter.
right.
That's
Exactly.
it. That's it.
So on that
Other
note,
cast members, Who's in your cast?
Is in your cast.
We have Aaron Kaplan,
So Aaron Kaplan.
who is
Who's
playing.
fabulous. Have you worked with him
He
before?
plays Charles Strickland. Okay, we have a young lady, Danique Ashley, out of Derby, who is playing the role of Susan, and Dan Lerner from White Plains,
Okay.
who is playing the role of Jack.
White Plains.
Coming from all over.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's
That's
it's a
commitment, yeah.
destination play.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
is.
for those roles, for those roles.
Right,
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right. That's great. That's and anybody else that you've worked with before? This is all fresh. All
Yeah, out of this cast, yeah.
Yeah?
These are all first timers.
you've had a busy
First-timers
year.
for me.
Good for
Yeah.
you. Good for
Yeah.
you. So I have seen you before in Fences.
Right.
It was so impressive, really.
That's a great show.
It was, you know,
had a great
the play
cast.
is a great play.
It really is.
But this cast, and some people that I've worked with before, Stephen Sampson and Shelby, that I worked before, the cohesiveness and the just the whole feel of that play was just gorgeous. It was just gorgeous.
Yeah, we had a benefit in that we lost Troy, 2 Troys.
Right, you were-
So the rest of us, we were auditioning forever, but we got very tight.
Right.
And so we became really, truly a family then, you know. And so that turned out to be a benefit. And eventually we got Foster to be the Troy. And so it was like the universe came and said, listen, boom, here's Foster. And it's like,
Oh, that's
wow.
right, they
It was
Yeah, the whole
so
thing got
Stars
shifted.
it
aligned.
was so perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect.
And he
yeah.
fit right in, you know.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
was a great cast.
That
Great,
was
and a
great.
great show. And you know, I was thinking about this, the script there, because August Wilson he's writing, his language isn't language that I would use. And so all of a sudden you have to learn a different language.
Right,
when you're
right,
out there. So
right.
As you're learning a different language.
As I'm learning a different language, yeah, I'm multilingual. Who knew?
They would offered you that opportunity.
Right.
Have you done something in between that and this? Or you?
I did. There was a small piece I did where it was actually in Ridgefield at the museum.
The Aldrich?
Was it the Aldrich or the? Geez, I don't remember the name of the museum.
The Aldrich is a contemporary museum.
No, it wasn't
The Keeler.
Yeah, the Keeler.
Keeler's
Keeler
Tavern.
Keeler
Tavern.
Tavern. Oh, okay.
And they did a piece that kind of recognized the Revolutionary War, what was going on, and how abolitionists kind of were occupying that space. And I played Frederick Douglass. So that
You
was kinda-
did.
Yeah.
You had to wear a beard.
I had to wear a hat, clearly. I don't have Frederick's hair, you know, so. But that
He had
kinda
great
cool.
hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Good for you. I love that. I didn't know they did that there. That's terrific.
Yeah,
I
it was
love
really-
those.
Yep.
History, and they do some really nice work there.
They do a lot.
A lot
Yeah,
to
they do.
promote the history of the area, and yeah, it's great. That's great. And how about you've been so busy?
LaMantia.
My goodness.
Yes, I have not done anything between LaMantia and this.
How could you sleep? Did you sleep?
Our most
Did you
frequent
get-
guest recently.
Over the past month.
Yeah. Do you always work like
This is
this?
a rerun.
Man of La Mancha, I just loved it. I thought it was
Yeah,
fabulous.
thank you,
It was
thank
great.
you.
It was great. I know,
It was a
real labor
big
of
piece
love.
of work,
Yeah,
a big piece of work, and that was the other attraction about moving into this was 4 characters.
Right, and no music.
No music to deal with, no choreography to deal with. It's just 4 actors dealing with motivation, intentions.
And this is in your wheelhouse because if I recall, you said that you don't really like musicals.
I don't, but
Did the ones
You
you
whispered.
like.
yeah, that's right. So I think that I mentioned before, because now I've done 3 musicals in a row.
Yeah.
Wow.
Before that, I did 3 bedroom farces in a row. Right, and before that was my drama period. So now I'm moving back into drama. So now I'm determined to do 3 Mamets in a row. Wanna?
Oh, that's
Wanna?
That's all right. That's
Wow. Good luck.
Just saying. Just saying. What are you doing for the next couple of years?
So that, no, seriously, are you really considering that? Is that really, or 3 dramas?
You know.
3 dramas.
Who knows,
Yeah.
Beth?
Yeah.
It really just kind of worked out that way,
Right.
frankly.
Right.
It really
right.
did. So.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So I'm going to tell you though, one of the more interesting things for this show and for the theater, for TheaterWorks itself, is the fact that we're going to do this 4 weeks in New Milford, and then we're moving it for a weekend up to Salisbury.
Really?
Yes.
What's in Salisbury?
Well,
I mean, I know there's a theater there, but like, why
there
not?
is a theater.
Yeah.
Well, it was part and parcel. We're basically, from what I'm understanding, and Matt could help if I'm stepping out of bounds here.
I don't know the full
But
story,
it's, it was an effort to create more of an alliance with the Sharon Playhouse.
Oh, okay.
In terms of that. So, at any rate, we're going up into their neck of the woods to present this, and we've got a space that's up at the Salisbury School in their theater, which is a nice little place, a little 3/4 black box, 3/4 seating around the stage.
Will the students come and see it?
The students are actually on break.
Oh,
and
okay. So
it's a good
space.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Considering
it's a high
this
school,
piece.
right? My nephew goes
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah. So we've actually had to construct the set with transportation in mind. So that's also been a challenge.
Yeah.
And as as Kevin will attest, it's quite capable of breaking down easy and
Breaking
moving.
down and moving.
Yeah.
So it runs at TheaterWorks the 22nd through March 2nd.
To March 16th, I was going to say 17th, and then we're up at in Salisbury.
weekend.
Yeah, the 22nd, Friday the 22nd, and then the 23rd is a Saturday. We have 2 shows
Okay.
up there. So for all your
Exciting.
yes, it is.
Taking
It's
your
very
show
exciting.
On the road. I love that.
Yeah, so
A little further for you.
it's we'll be putting them up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
a stay over.
If that's
Okay,
it.
you know?
Now that's when you know you've made it. Put
it in your rider.
Exactly.
No,
It's fine.
room service.
No,
No room service.
That's okay.
But it'll be it's a challenge, and so it actually places more of an onus on us to create a good show, a show worth traveling.
Right. Right.
know,
Right.
right.
And the other considerations that come with that too, as
That's
you're
correct.
saying, with the
Yeah.
set and
Yeah.
how everything is. I mean, just the logistics of that.
The logistics
putting that
of
all
it.
together.
Right.
You
Correct.
have to think of that in the conception phase.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That
And I
this is-
hope I'm not speaking out of bounds, but I think this is something that TheaterWorks is looking to do with a bunch of productions going forward.
Yes,
Trying to
well, they're trying to build that kind of an
build
alliance.
an alliance and
Yeah.
take productions that we think are worthy. Not that all of them aren't, because they're all great.
Yeah.
But things that can travel.
Right.
Yeah.
Things that logistically
Right.
can travel.
And would have some appeal in both locales.
Right.
You know,
Right.
things along that line. So there are
Right.
considerations for it, but yes. So this is kind of a test for that.
See what kind. Now, are they going to advertise this for you? How is that? How are you going to get your audience in there?
they're already advertising up
Oh,
there.
they are? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so
great.
that's already set up. The gentleman, Lloyd Baruti, is up there, and he's, getting all this in motion, acting as our producer up in that neck of the woods. So he's, taking it upon himself
That's great.
to start advertising
You're
it.
just going to show up.
Yeah.
Just.
Right.
Well, just
right.
sure.
What was I?
Just show up after we break down and load the truck.
Right.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah,
That's great.
so it's
Well,
fun. It's exciting for the theater as well. So,
Yeah.
we're really happy about this.
Yeah.
Being able to do that.
Yeah,
We're
it's
getting
great.
the little wrap
we get,
up
yeah,
signals.
sorry.
Already.
Yeah. It goes so
All right,
fast.
it goes so quickly.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for being with us.
Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much.
Yeah.
This was a pleasure.
Anytime you're going to
So
be back
nice.
next week? Is that no?
Funny guy.
So funny.
Race runs February 22nd through March 23rd. I should know this.
Kind-ish. Well, yeah.
March 16th.
That's right, in New Milford.
Right, and then-
22nd, 23rd,
And then
in
after
Salisbury.
that, Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago,
That's
New
it.
York.
That's it. Yeah.
Go to theaterworks.us for information, tickets, etc. You can check our Facebook page for information, facebook.com/cocktails and curtain call show. You can email us if you have questions, comments. You want this production to come to your theater. theater.
Hey, dude, yes.
cocktailsandgurgles@gmail.com.
Facilitate it.
We'll hook it up. If you're in the continental United States, we can't afford to bring it outside of that, but
We can get there.
we can get there. Anyway,
slow road.
take
That's
a slow
a
road.
slow road.
So thank you again, and
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
yeah,
Great to see you
Pleasure.
again.
So
Same
great.
here.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see your play.
yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again next week.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.